Nigeria.
Okay, welcome, Mr. Michael. Yeah, I think we have two
Thank
more
you.
persons that are going to introduce yourself and we kickstart. Yeah, Mr. Samuel, please can introduce yourself. I'm just going to take one more person because I can't, a lot of people are joining, so I'm just going to cut. After Mr. Samuel, we are starting immediately because I was trying to buy time so we have more persons to join before we eventually start. Can you guys hear me at all?
Yeah, of course, we can hear you.
Okay.
Of course, yes.
Okay, so yeah, welcome once again, everybody. My name is Miss Emanuela Orioma, and I'm your today's host for our very first June event, Sunday's event. And today we'll be talking about starting a career in tech. So what we're going to be talking about today these are the things you need to know. Like we're going into tech, an overview of the tech industry, what the tech industry is all about, what you need to know, the do's and the don'ts, the things that are going to help you, the resources, the tools that are going to help smoothen your journey, because there are a lot of people that are in tech, that have been in tech for years, and they are not really moving, they are just stuck. Maybe they do not have mentors or they do not really have the right tools, because we are in the information age, and there are a lot of information flying everywhere that you get confused. So there are a lot of people, especially newbies, that are into tech or they are coming into tech. There are a lot of informations that they get confused. So today we are going to clarify everything you need to know going into tech, either as a newbie, as a beginner, as an intermediate, even as an expert. So the things you need to know. And what we are going to also be talking about is how to identify your career, like knowing what best suits you. Because there are some people, like basically almost everybody, you can't really do everything. There are some people that are good with data analytics. There are some people that are good with designs. There are some people that are good with software engineering. So today you're going to know the right career that suits you as a person. Also, we're going to be talking about how to utilize the right resources in your learning journey. And we're also going to be talking about how to be consistent in your career growth, how to be consistent, how to stay in the game. Like example, if you're a product designer, how to stay as a product designer and grow in that career path. But there are a lot of people that today they're a product designer, tomorrow they're a digital marketer, next tomorrow they're full stack, tomorrow front end, back end. They're just moving from one career path to the other. Today we're also going to talk about how to be a pro. Will I say a pro? Yeah, I'm going to use the word a pro, and a master in the stack you choose. So our speakers for today, we have Miss Amaka Wonsu. She's a product designer. She's a digital marketer. She's also going to be one of our speakers. We have Mr. Marvelous Aporobu. Sorry. Mr. Marvelous, am I pronouncing it right? I don't know why I don't always get your name.
You have never pronounced it well.
I don't know why. Mr. Marvelous Aporobu, sorry. Yeah, he's a software engineer. Yeah, and we have Mr. Chris Fega. He's a product manager and is also a software engineer. So we're going to be having a fireside chat today. So guys, please start writing your questions, like bombard them with your question at the end of this fireside chat. So we're going to be asking them series of questions, and also they are going to give us a brief journey on how they started, what kept them motivated, what kept them till now, still doing the stuff they do. So yeah, what I'm going to do, how it's going to go, the sequence. I'm going to take their name one by one, like each of them. Then when I'm taking the question, all of you are going to ask. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. Speakers, Mr. Maka, Mr. Marvelous, and Mr. Chris. I don't know if you get, do you understand?
Yeah,
So first of all, I'm going to ask your name, and introduce yourself. So it's going to go like a series of questions. And after that, we are going to talk about your journey. Yeah. So please, I'll start with Mr. Maka Wonsu. Yeah. So please, can you introduce yourself and your stack in tech? Thank you, Mr. Maka.
Hello guys, good evening everybody.
Good evening.
I go by the name Wamaka Wonsu. I'm a product designer as well as a product marketer. I think that's basically all for introduction, and I work at Top Universe.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Maka. So, Mr. Chris Fega, please can you introduce yourself?
Hello everyone, my name is Chris Fega. Okay, I'm a software engineer and like I said, I manage projects as well too. I'm based in Lagos and I work with a couple of startups remotely and hybrid. And I think that's all for now.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Chris. Mr. Marvelous, please can you introduce yourself briefly?
All right, thank you. Okay, so I'm sure you can hear me, right?
Yes,
okay.
we can.
All right, so my name is Marvelous. I'm a software engineer. I've been doing this for quite a long time right now. I think I would say roughly 11 years. And I basically work with a lot of startups, mostly remote startups. I'm also building a startup here, and I do work with a couple of companies locally here in Nigeria, mostly as a partner, as a technical partner. And I think I would also use the opportunity to say thank you for showing up today. I'm seeing a lot of amazing guys on the call. I'm seeing Emeka Enyinze, who I've been working with for quite a long time. We've been on this journey together. For over, I think, 10 years plus. I'm sure he did not really introduce himself. Well, I'm sure he will do that later. I won't do that for him. But yeah, so basically, that is what I do, and I am also a co-founder at Top Universe. All right.
Okay. Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Marvelous. Thank you. Yeah, Miss Amaka, please can you tell us, the audience, how you started in tech? What drew you to tech? What caught your attention? And yeah, you're a product designer. So what made you pick product design over other stacks in tech? Can you just briefly tell us?
Okay. My drive towards tech has been a long while. Started while I was in school. I think I was in my 300 level, and then I had everybody around me go into tech, and I kept hearing tech this, tech that, but I wasn't really keen towards tech. I was just looking for like the smartest or the safest cycle in tech to get into. So I started off with programming at first. Well, I didn't cope quite well, so I decided to go into design. Now, my drive towards design majorly was because of my friends, and then it was something I liked at first, because where was I think then I was already 7, and I was telling myself that, okay, if you leave service, what are you going to do with yourself? So like after so many thoughts, the fact that there's no job in Nigeria and all of that, and then I had my friend keep telling me that, what about design? Don't you think design would work for you? For one reason or the other, I was like, okay, let me try the design field. And that was it. I picked up design. Now, at first, it was looking strange, but then I came in with this open mind that, okay, since I already know that I didn't need any background knowledge in design, means I could learn it, then why not learn? So that's how I basically came into tech. And then when I started designing, it was more like everything for me. Now, my journey has its ups and downs, but so far so good. Design is something I'll pick over and over again. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, so I have one more question before I move to Mr. Fega. So what will you call your experience so far while learning product design? How will you rate your experience? Was it tough for you? Because like I said earlier after the introduction, that most people, when they come into tech, they jump from stack to stack. Example, there are some people that start with data analytics, and they are not good with numbers, especially those that are not good with numbers. They jump and they go to product design, and they say that, oh, I don't like designs, I don't like color, and they jump to software engineering. So will you say when you were when you started learning your product design, was your experience, was it tough for you, or was it easy? Did it sink in while you were learning?
Okay, so my experience, basically, I can say it was challenging, and at the same time, it was easy. Now, for me, my journey into tech was rough at first, but later it became easy because of the friends I had and people I had met alongside during my journey. So they made my learning process easy, because Then I had, I think then I'd already met Mr. Marvelous. So at least I had someone that would point me in the way. Then I had help from other people that kept telling me that even at times when I get lost, I get to call on to Mr. Marvelous and some other friends that I had. I would be like, I don't understand where it's going here. Where is this design leading me to? So for me, I'll say my journey was both challenging and it was interesting because throughout the journey, it had its ups and downs. Well, I always had people to go back to and tell them that I don't understand why this is happening. Can you show me why this is not happening? And they were ever willing to help me. So let's say my transition into tech was smooth to an extent. I'll give it a 60/100 coming into tech.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Maka.
Yes.
Mr. Fega, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, yeah, Mr. Fega, please, you could just give us a brief history, not really history, yes, a brief about your journey in tech, how you got started, what motivated you, and what made you pick software engineering and project manager over other stacks in tech.
Okay. Thank you very much, Ella. Uh, I think I've always loved computer from the start. I've always loved computer, and I actually started using computer for I think quite a young time, and a young age rather. And but I had no guidance, and I had less resources as well too. So I think I basically started when I was in school. From I took interest because I was not really happy with the way programming was taught in my department. I wasn't happy, even though we were still dealing with the old languages like Fortran, stuff like that. So I wasn't happy the way it was taught. It was taught theoretically, and people had issue with it. So I developed keen interest in programming from there. But I didn't really do much about it then until I graduated from school. When I graduated, I think during my youth service. Thank God Ella said something like that. I started asking myself what I want to do in my life. So I started to pick up programming, and it wasn't easy for me. I started out with Java, and it wasn't easy for me also because I did not have resources. I had limited resources that I had to travel all the way back to my school to access the library. I stayed for a couple of months, access the library, and I started using books. I think I'm probably one of those developers that learned using books. So I didn't really get in using the internet or whatever. I was borrowing textbook from the library, consuming materials up and down, writing different stuff, and that's how I got into Java. And I pushed myself up to, I would say, an intermediate level in Java, and I was able to build a few applications. Not a few. I built a lot of applications as well too, but I think then I was still very young in everything, so I had no business sense of everything until I relocated to Lagos, and I decided to probably get into web fully, and I went through with my previous knowledge of Java and I think basics of Python. I was able to scale through very well, and fine. It was glorious for me, and from there I added some business. I took some business courses as well too, foreign and indigenous courses. I took some courses, and I used up everything. So I think I'm much more concerned about not just building tech products, but solving business solutions. So I think some people are passionate about just building, just writing code, but I think I'm more passionate about the value it makes at the end. Not just don't just build, solve a problem. So that's what I'm concerned about. So and I spend more of my time assembling engineers, working with a lot of engineers, and um, I think that's all for now. So in summary, my journey wasn't easy at all. It wasn't easy. I have a lot to say about my journey just to guide people. Thank you very much, Ella.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Fega. So sorry, if you want to rate your journey on how tough it was, like on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate it?
I think I would say it was 6.8 or 7, considering the fact
Six
that
point
I had
6.8 easy or 6.8 hard?
I'm rating from easy to difficult, 10 being the most difficult and 0 being the easiest. So
Wow.
uh, 6.8 to 7 because I had extra limited resources. So I pushed myself through. I was my own motivation. I was my own inspiration. So I I had nobody to guide me to tell me. In fact, let me just share this before we just go on. There was even a time I reached out to somebody. I think one of the senior engineers that I knew back then in Abuja. I reached out to him like, okay, fine. I know you're an engineer. I just need a little bit guidance and everything. The dude said I'm going to pay 50,000 naira just to guide me, not to teach me. I'm not saying come and teach me, just guide me because the information I'm seeing now they're overwhelming. I just to guide you. I said pay 50K. So you can imagine how my journey would be like, no guidance and everything. So that's it.
Yeah, but it's offering you something now, so it's getting something in return. All right, thank you very much, Mr. Fega.
Uh,
Yeah, Mr.
uh,
Marvelous. Mr. Marvelous, please just tell us a brief about how you got started in tech. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, yeah, talking about how I got started in tech. Basically, I've been around computers for a very long time. I would say, my dad brought home. I remember very well. It was a 5 GB hard drive computer with I think 128 MB RAM. Yes, so that was my first computer. Funny enough, I still have the box, in my room back at home. And I mean, I really enjoyed, using the computer. So at first, my dad got the machine because he wanted to learn. Right, I think I was 6 or 7. Unfortunately, he could not learn. He's a teacher, and coming back from school, he's always tired, of course. So we had to sneak into his room to learn. After a while, the machine was always having issues, and he admitted to the fact that he could not manage or maintain this stuff. So he had to transfer it to my room, with my elder brother, and we just spent time, going through the machine, going through the laptop, the desktop computer. Just browsing around, I would say, because we did not really have a formal training on how to use the computer. But over time, we were able to, learn to navigate the computer. We learned how to, do a lot of stuff in there. Mostly, I think we learned how to download stuff, play games, install operating systems. With time, use a lot of Microsoft Office, Microsoft packages. Yeah. And one day, I remember while I was in SS1, while I was at SS1, I was browsing through Microsoft Office. I think it was 2003 version back then, and I discovered something called VB macro. I mean, most of you that might have used it back then, you might have, you might remember this stuff. So, trying to explore what is this VB macro stuff, and I landed into VB scripts. That is what it was called, VB scripts. So I just started playing around it, using a counter, and also doing some Google stuff. And I figured out how to really write this script, perform simple calculations. And that was how I actually picked up. I did not know I was programming, to be honest. I did not really know what it was called. I just thought I was writing macros. I think about 3 years later, I got admission into school, and I was exposed to this library. I've never been to a library before until then, and getting into the library, I saw that the computer science department. I actually got admitted into school to study computer science. Quite young back then. I was 14, and I went to the library and I saw a lot of books. I picked up Visual Basic 2008, and that was the first time I met Emeka. Quite funny. Emeka picked up Java. We sat together, and that was how I got to know him. And I then discovered that, okay, this is programming, and I really love this stuff. I was enjoying it, and that was how I really immersed myself into programming. We built a couple of websites with our mobile phone back then. I did not have a laptop. I had to borrow laptops to write code, and in return, I do assignments, for the owners of those systems. And yeah, because I was enjoying it, I was able to, spend some of my feeding money on purchasing data, and also purchasing fuel for my neighbor's generator. So, I was always practicing. I kept practicing, and even when there was no laptop with me, I had to manually draw a keyboard on my wall, and I was always practicing my typing speed. Those of you that use Mavis Beacon and all that. So with time, I got to love programming. I moved to a lot of programming languages. From VB, I was a Microsoft fanboy. From VB to C# to F#, and later I discovered that C++ was very nice. So I got into languages like that, C++, and so after a while, I started working on projects for students, for lecturers, did a couple of projects for lecturers, including their personal master's degree and their PhD projects. So I really got exposed to some of the tough sides. It wasn't easy at all. Imagine having a budget of maybe 600 naira per day, and you already spent 500 naira for data and fuel. Sometimes you just have to fast. But yeah, I think it was because I really enjoyed what I was doing. Right, I think with Emeka back then, we came together and we started our first startup. This was during close to my final year, I believe. And a social media platform. We built a lot of applications, right? And I think I'll be honest, and I think most developers have to be honest too. Even though you enjoy doing these things, when you see returns, probably you're already making money from it at a very early stage. Of course, you would like to do more. You would like to learn more. You would like to, build more. And since then I've been into mostly I would call it product engineering, right? Working with startups, working with companies. That is it. From a scale, from a scale of 1 to 10, when it comes to how tough the journey was, I would actually rate it at 9 or 10, because sometimes we literally had to starve, right? I remember, I think Emeka and I, sometimes we had to purchase fuel that would run overnight, to work in my apartment back then. And we had to starve. We had to depend on food from friends. So it wasn't easy at all, I would say. Let me stop here for now.
Wow. Okay, I think I can see a couple of messages. Yeah, Mr. Emeka is saying that you were the fastest finger. Wow. Said you could type you could type words in 60 seconds. Wow, that means you are so fast. I think I have to come and take some classes. Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Marvelous. Okay, yeah, Mr. Maka, I don't know if you can hear me. Yeah, you can. Okay, so what will you, because I would say the tech industry is a very, very broad industry. So for the newbies coming into tech, there are some people that do not know what the tech industry is all about. So from your own point of view, just like give us an overview for like a newbie coming into tech. What do the tech industry look like? How do they get started in tech as a newbie?
Okay. Now, as a newbie coming into tech, there are a lot of things to take in.
Okay, Mr. Maka, can you hear me? Oh, okay.
Now, for one, tech is an industry that you don't need, okay, if you're coming in from the computer. What I will say about the tech industry, that it only needs some have this open. Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay, yes, I can. I couldn't hear you first. I think maybe it's my network. Sorry, you can go on. Sorry.
All right. So I said the tech industry needs people with open mind. It's all about you coming into the industry with an open mind that, okay, I'm here and I want to learn. And then there are so many things about the tech industry. We have so many careers in the tech industry that you can't be limited to one. You have to make your choice among the various career paths in tech industry. You just have to make up your mindset that, okay, this is what I want to do, and this is why I want to stay. So yes, that's what I have to say for now.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, the next question. Now, I won't be moving accordingly. I could just call your name like that. Yeah. So, Mr. Marvelous, I have a question. Like, there are a lot of people, especially on Twitter. If you go on Twitter, you will get confused. especially if you are following a lot of tech trends, tech hashtag. You see Web3, blockchain, and there are a lot of people now come and learn Angular, come and learn React, come and learn Node when they've not learned JavaScript. For newbies that are coming, they've not learned the basics. So what is your advice for them? Like, because there are a lot of information that even get people confused. So as a newbie, how do you know how to filter this information? How do you know the right resources? How do you know that, okay, I'm to learn the fundamental, and not just to jump into any framework or any library? So what's your advice for newbies coming into tech?
Yeah. So I mean that's a very delicate question, and let's be honest. I was having a conversation with some of the guys I mentor yesterday, and I told them the same thing. I said, the people you see on Twitter making a lot of noise when it comes to tech, especially from Nigeria, I tend to call them influencers and entrepreneur. And of course, there's nothing wrong with being an influencer or being an entrepreneur. I think they confuse so many people by just making them believe, there's money in tech. This is how much I make. To be honest, I don't think people that are really making a lot of money will be comfortable talking about it on social media, especially on Twitter. And I don't know how they, manage to mix working and and Twitter, except they are not working well. Most of them say remote work, yes, of course. But I think if you want to really go into a space, I don't think Twitter is the right place to get the information required. So what I would advise most people to do is, of course, you don't know about tech, you don't know much about tech, but maybe you can even start with a simple Google search, right? Or you can ask a couple of people that are already in the industry to just give you an overview or try to give you pointers on what to search for. Now, I think you should come into the industry to majorly do something you enjoy doing. So probably you should just search for some of the career paths, right? Maybe you've heard about maybe you've done programming. Of course, that is not the only thing in the tech industry. As a matter of fact, there are some other interesting part of tech, such as advocating for developers, or maybe coming into. I've seen people going into these companies to just work as someone taking down documentations on some of their products, or you can come in as a product manager, product designer, product marketer. So I think there are so many categories in there. First off, you need to know what you want to learn, right? You need to know what you want to learn. Most of us suffered a big problem, or I would say a big challenge. There were nobody. I mean, we could not get access to people to even mentor us or to even ask some of these questions, right? So what I think what we did, when you are spending a lot of cash, burning a lot of cash for data, for purchasing fuel. By the way, the place we schooled, for over 20 years, even before we got down to that school, there was no light. So, I mean, you should understand that you have to be very careful with what you do on the internet, else you are burning money for no reason. So, we took our time, we searched through a lot of websites, trying to understand, what area should I focus on? What area can I learn for the next few months that, would yield return, right? Learning is an investment. And after you learn, the expectation is to utilize what you've learned. So you really need to be focused. And, I said earlier that the first thing is to know what you want to learn, right? Which comes from your research. So you have to research and understand that, okay, in web development, this is the expectation. This is what I should be doing. If I'm doing front end or back end or full stack, if I want to go into DevOps, there are so many categories I can't explain all right now. If I want to go into DevOps, cloud engineering, data science, data analytics, and what you should do is first understand what you're getting into by asking questions online or offline. Don't go to Twitter to ask people on Twitter questions, because they might end up, shaming you. And most people are going to be depressed when they get, negative energy or negative feedback from Twitter. I opened a Twitter account in 2010. yes, in 2010, but I did not use that Twitter account for anything reasonable until this year. I remember, yeah, until this year. So I just had to recover the password, and I started using it. I don't even have any followers, and I don't think I really care about most of those things happening there, except you want to be an influencer or you want to advertise or you just want to socialize. But mind where you pick data from, because a lot of things you see online are also wrong, very wrong. I've seen people trying to get answers on Quora. Yes, you would definitely, get good answers, and there's some bad answers as well. So you have to learn to filter those things. I can't teach you how to filter those things. You just need to know how to search correctly. Try to make a couple of friends, right? Go to meetups, network with people that are already in the space, try to understand that a lot of people are better than you, right? And they are still learning. So you need to understand, I came here to learn, and I'm going to sit and learn. And don't try to brag, just be down to earth and learn from others. I think that's what I would say for now.
Okay, yes, thank you so much, because it's really confusing. Like you just made mention of Twitter. Yeah, Twitter is the market is really confusing, and there are a lot of people, both the ones that know it, the ones that don't know it, they're just coming making noise, especially Nigerians. There was a part, I won't call the name, it's very popular. It teaches web development on Twitter, and he was really doing a great job. But there was something he did. He created another account. I'm not saying it's bad to create another account, but what he did was that he created another account as a student, and what he did was that he was operating the two accounts, which a lot of people do. It's not wrong, but he was claiming that he was a student benefiting from the platform, and he was the one doing it himself. So apparently, I think there was something, he pasted his Bitcoin wallet address, and the Bitcoin wallet address he posted was the same with the other account. So they were really dragging him on Twitter, and they were dragging a lot of other developers. They were saying that they were misleading people. So yeah, this thing you said is really, really very important, because especially on Twitter, the noise is too much, and there are some people that they will just come. There was a tweet I saw like 2 days ago. The guy was like, "Oh, I'm making this amount of money, XYZ amount of dollars." And I know this person personally that he does not have this kind of money. And there are some people under the tweet that were depressed. There was this guy who was like, "But I've been learning web development for over a year, and I'm not earning dollars." I'm not saying you can't earn dollars, but there are some, even though some that are really getting the money, they won't tell you the process or how long it took them. They will just come and give you the highlights. So yeah, Twitter can really be misleading most times. So thank you, Mr. Marvelous. Thank you so much. Mr. Fega, I have a question for you. You made mention of how you started in school. Yeah, how you started your journey, how you were consuming materials, because there were not a lot of materials online. You started with Java. You had to learn Python on the way. So I have this question for you. How do you stay? Because throughout your story, the one thing I could pick among the other things was you were consistent, you were focused. So for newbies, for people in tech, even as intermediates, even as a beginner, how do you stay consistent even when you are facing difficulty, especially here in Nigeria, that you have fuel scarcity, you have light issue, so many issues, data, internet connectivity, so many problems. How do you stay consistent?
Okay, thank you very much, Ella. Like I would always say, my own journey wasn't straight, and I was my own motivation and inspiration. I didn't really draw inspiration or motivation from any other place. It was me. So basically, um, to stay on your path, I feel like first of all, you should you should stop running after too many resources. Like having too many information can be overwhelming at times, and it can sway you off your feet. It can get you off it could be a distraction at times. So I think it's one of the issues, like too many trying to get too many resources, learn from here, learn from there. And I think there is a word for this. I'm trying to get it now. As in, the effect is, it's like going to one school, learning something, and getting to a certain class, leaving that school, going to another school, starting all over again, getting to a particular class because because your friend is in this school again, going to another school, starting all over again, just like that. I think it's revolved like that now. Now the reason why it's because of too many resources and distraction. Now I think the best thing for anybody, whether you're depending on whatever level you are, whether if you're new to tech or you're already in it, stay on one track, like where you are. And most importantly, you should focus more on being able to do something what you're learning. Okay, being able to do something. It's more than just saying, "Oh, I want to be an expert." There was one video I saw. The guy said, "Don't push to be an expert. Just push to be proficient in it. That's it." Now that's one thing again. Don't bother yourself with too many of all these things that is going on, because right now, sorry to say, the word tech is becoming a cliche in Nigeria. That whenever anybody calls technology, first the average man thinks of is somebody that writes code, whereas there are lots of things to do. Okay, we'll come to that. Now, to stay on your own, on your to stay consistent, let's put it that way, to stay focused. First of all, you need to stop going searching for too many resources. If you're learning from a place, just stick to it. That is why most times it's really, really important that you seek advice on where to learn, according to what the engineer said, on where to learn from. Because sometimes where you might be learning from might really be affecting you in a way that you don't know. Because it is not everybody that knows how that has knowledge that also knows how to pass the knowledge. That is one issue. There are some people that they have just little knowledge, but if they teach you that thing, you're super good already. There are some people they have lots of knowledge, but they don't know how to pass this knowledge. Then there are also some people that they have good knowledge, they know how to teach, but they don't know how to carry the person along. That is one thing too. So I think you should probably be when you're in a place and or when you're learning from the resources and you feel like you're not getting it like the way it should be, you shouldn't force yourself. It means that probably it's not your fault. You don't have assimilation issue. The issue is maybe the person is not teaching it the right way. And I always put it straight like this for learning that one thing is to first of all learn the foundation. Very important. Don't skip that for any reason. It's very bitter, but for me it's fun. I would say it's fun, but for some people it's bitter. But make sure you learn the foundation and of course do everything to learn the foundation. From there you can move on to the information stage. Then from there you have your skill, and from there you can start being innovative. That's just one thing. So like I said, number one, make sure you don't try to consume too many. Like I think I used that word consume too many resources when I was learning because I there was no guidance for me. I was just going here and there, going here and there. I think what shaped my career is when I had the opportunity to probably get a course and everything. I went to the course and I saw the things I've been missing, jumping like and what I saw there was the fact that I've been learning but I've not been practicing most of these things I've learned because these people they don't give you there is no connectivity to practice. Let me put it that way. You just learn, and there is nothing to measure your metric, your learning. So that's one problem too. So stay focused on your track. Avoid too many resources. Learn fundamentals, practice the fundamentals, be good at the fundamentals, then start building on the fundamentals you learn gradually. Don't be like, oh, I'm going to learn this language tomorrow. I'm going to learn that. Or when you hear somebody say maybe you're on front end stack, for instance, and your friend is probably a mobile app developer, you're like, oh, I want to go and learn that. No, don't do that. Don't do that. Or maybe you are probably learning from top universe and your friend is learning from free code camp. Oh, you'll be like, no, I want to go to. Don't do that. Don't do that. You'll just be running around one point. Don't do that. Just focus where you are. Learn as much as you can learn. Practice as much as you can practice. You don't just gain knowledge in learning. You gain more knowledge in practicing. And anything that has to do with technology, you gain more knowledge when you practice. You are better when you practice. So the more you practice, the more you put in time to practice for your learning. I don't I feel like okay, you will not even have time to run to other places. Just keep practicing the fundamentals. Soak yourself with the fundamentals to be good at it. I think that's enough for now. Thank you very much, Ella.
Yeah, thank you so much. So one of the things we have taken note of is the focus if you pick a particular track, stay focused on it. Keep building, because the more you build, the better you are. Thank you so much, Mr. Fega. Ms. Amaka, so I have a question for you. Like, I was going through the chats right on this call, and yeah, Mr. Emeka was making mention of communities. So would you say, or would you advise that people going into tech should consider joining communities to fast track their knowledge, or they go online? Like, example now, I'm not talking of Twitter. You could, there's JetBrains, there's Free Code Camp, there are a lot of resources. So do you advise that communities are a faster way of individuals learning a particular track in tech?
Okay, I would say communities are a faster way of an individual learning in tech. But at the same time, it has its own pros and cons. Now, being in a community gives you access to other developers, other designers, and other people in tech, quite all right. But then it also has this information overload, because being in communities, you have people who have gone way ahead of others. So then you have the newbies who are coming into this industry. Now, someone might ask a question and gets lots of answers or different forms of answers, and then they don't know where to pick in the community. But I think the advantages of communities is that it just gives you access to people that you can go to and meet and say, maybe you find someone who is already in the field and has gone ahead, you ask them that if they can mentor you or if they can guide you. So when it comes to communities, it's fair enough. But with communities at the same time, I would advise newbies to be careful, because now there's this information overload that comes with communities. You have so many information, you have so many resources in communities. So it's not left to the person to filter and pick what they really want to learn, just filter as much as possible. And still in communities, we also have the presence of gatekeepers, people who believe that the tech industry should be this way and not the other way around. If you're not doing it this way, you're doing it wrong. Now, I think there was a time on Twitter they were dragging a particular person because she said, if you take a Google design course, you are not a designer. Now, there are so many things to that. Now, I'm coming from a design aspect, so I would say this. Now, for her, she said you're not a designer if you take a Google design course. But then it doesn't really make sense, because let's be honest, for someone to pick up a Google design course and take it from stage 1 to the end, the person is a designer. Let me just, it's not a perfect designer, because in tech, you keep learning and learning. It's not something that you just pick this. I'm like, oh yes, I've learned this. This is all. No, in tech, you have to, there's a continuous learning process. If you don't learn, the industry leaves you behind. So for someone to pick up a Google course and finish it, the person is a designer. What is left for that person is to keep learning and upgrading their skills. So that's all I have to say concerning communities. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Maka. Yeah, before I go to Mr. Marvelous, guys, please, if you have any question, please start dropping it on the chat. There's a chat here where you can drop your questions. If you have any question, you can start dropping it, and I'm going to go through all of them, all the questions. Yeah, Mr. Marvelous, like going through your profile, you are into cloud computing, you are into full stack development, you are into data analytics, you are into a lot of areas in tech. Yeah, what would you advise for people coming into tech? Because there are some people that can juggle through a lot of them. Like, yeah, apparently from the three of you, Mr. Fega and Ms. Amaka, Ms. Amaka is also a digital marketer apart from a product designer. Mr. Fega also, apart from a software engineer, is also a project manager. So do you advise people coming into tech to like have more than one track?
Okay, so when it comes to doing multiple things in tech, I think the one reason why I have explored a lot of areas is because of course my experience and the amount of time I've spent doing these things. When you've worked with when you've worked with startups, when you've participated in hackathons and a lot of competitions, you realize that it's not a bad idea to learn other things. For example, I've been using Python for roughly I would say 8 to 9 years, right? And within this time, within this period, I've been able to do a lot of things, a lot of things, even down to working with or working on machine learning. I don't think it's a bad idea when you've spent a very long time in the industry, but as it's better you focus, right? Focus on one thing. Even like 2, 3 years, right? 2, 3 years is not even a bad a time to practice one thing continuously, so you can land a role in a company. But of course, you can land a role in the company even within your first few months or first year, and you can learn on that thing. You can't be working in a company as an intern or as a beginner, as a junior level developer, and you say you are doing machine learning, right? I've seen a lot of people come into the industry, and there was a guy that contacted me. Someone gave him my contact. He would love to be my student. And the first thing he said, I asked him, okay, what can you do? What have you learned so far? What can you do? He said, you can do some data science things. You can do some machine learning things. Man, come on. You're already better than me. So what do you want to learn again? You're not used Python for more than 4 or 5 months and you're already doing machine learning. Are you kidding me? Right? So I think because of the amount of information out there, I would say he got carried away, probably writing a little programs, and you already think you are a badass Python developer. So I strongly believe as a beginner, you should start small, pick up a particular stack or a particular language, and use that particular stack or language for at least 1 year. With enough practice. It depends on how fast you learn, but don't allow what you see online to drive you. I keep saying this: don't allow what you see, especially on Twitter or some other platforms, to drive you. For example, the whole Web3 thing, and you see people coming into tech and they want to go into Web3. I mean, you can't leave Web 1, Web 2, and you are jumping into, you will crash land. Honestly, I don't know what you are trying to do, because the only difference is the fact that the way you store things in a decentralized form on Web3. Yeah, that is the major difference. But it's better you have Web 2 knowledge, because it places you at a better position to dive into Web 3, right? Same thing with cloud computing. I remember contacting a partner, I think an Azure partner. So there's this thing called Microsoft Azure. It's a cloud platform. Contacting an Azure partner, who happens to be my kind of like my account manager in India. And when he picked up the call, a guy, I was begging him, please, I'm just learning. I don't know what I did, and I just totally have about a $200 payment to make. I mean, what how can I make 200 as a student? I didn't have money. I made a mistake, right? If you've passed through these things step by step, you will discover that there are lots of things that you need to learn. You have to learn to be dedicated. You have to learn to approach things carefully. You have to learn to carefully to
Okay,
avoid making
sorry,
this
I
kind of
think
mistakes.
someone is
I think that is all I have to say. Yeah, so please, I think you should mute yourself when you're not talking. I said Nathan has something to say about communities. I hope you got what I said, right?
So that's mama anything.
okay, yes, Mr. Emeka, please, you can mute yourself and talk. And please, if you are not talking, please mute yourself. Yeah, Mr. Emeka, if you can hear me.
Yeah, can you mute everybody, please? Undivided attention.
Yeah, Amaka, just mute everybody, okay?
Okay, yeah, okay. So yeah, guys, thank you for I would say giving me the privilege to give you guys yarns. I call it yarns. YARN, right? I think Trayon has something to say, but Trayon, after I don't yarn my yarn, you get right. You can give your optics. So yeah, let me just give you guys an optics to communities, right? Why communities are very, very important is in your journey or in life, right? Is it makes you grow, I would say, faster, right? Or would say the right adjective to use would be exposure, right? So I give an example, right? A typical example of my story All right. So I schooled in a rejected place. Right. But when I talk now, people think I schooled in Harvard or Stanford, right? Right. But what made me grow so fast was the kind of communities I belonged to, right? So I'll give an example of how these things happen. So while we were in school, I and Mav, that was around 2013 or 2014. That's a long time, right? The Nigerian tech space was not like this. You guys are lucky that you're having all these things, right? You're having people even to mentor you for free of charge, like teach you things for free of charge. At one time it was not like that. At one time it was a time for survival, right? Nobody gives a toss about you, right? People just want to use you and dump you, right? So then when we were in school, right, I always tell Mav and the other classmates that we need to call this. Of course, I was born in Lagos, but then again, I was going far away from Lagos, right? So I always tell Mav, like, Mav, let's go for all these competitions now. If he remembers very well, right? Every competition then, Eventbrite, I used to register for it, like, that was 2014, right? So 2015, every event on Eventbrite will travel all the way from Delta State, right, to Lagos for hackathons, right, for competitions. And what this thing helped with was, I mean, sometimes you may be depressed, right? You'll be intimidated, but trust me, only the test of fire make it fine still, right? You see guys using mad laptops of people's net worth, right? Guys driving cars, right? But then again, there's something this thing does. It exposes your mind, right? To dream big more, right? So those are the things that helped people like me, right? Communities, right? So I made a lot of friends. So if you tell me today, I don't think if you call if you tell any top software engineer, like in the whole of Africa, that I don't know, like, right? That's how we became friends. We built stuff together. We failed, so it's good to go to meetups, to events, right? But don't be depressed. Always know the goal. Always know that you have a goal in mind, right? To be world class, right? To be, if you're in software engineering, to be world class in software engineering. If you're in product management, to be world class in product management. If you are in design, to be world class. Always have a goal in mind that, yeah, this is right. You want to be world class. Don't be moved by the superficial things you see, right? Because those things are, of course, Nigerians now. Like me, when I go to events these days, I just laugh because I know people that have money in the hall, like, right? Or people that are poor, right? People that drove cars to that place. I know that when I go now, I know those things, right? I know those people, not the ones that rant on Twitter. I'm just giving examples, right? So don't be overwhelmed, don't be moved by those things, but you are going there for something, to network, right? To make friends, to expose your mind to possibilities, right? Because we learn more in terms of diversity as humans, right? You get different optics from different approaches, right? And that's how you grow faster, right? Thankfully, like today now, I've spoken at different conferences, product conferences globally, right? I belong to different communities, right? Like Black Product Managers in San Francisco, ADPLs in Singapore, mentoring club in Berlin. I'm a product person, so I'm just giving you instances, right? So, right, these people, so I talk to people from, like, take for instance now, from Google, from Facebook, right, from AWS, from Amazon, like in real time, so when I'm stuck doing something, right, so that's what community gives to you, rather than doing certain things in silos, right? But then again, if you're not careful, you'll be overwhelmed, right? You'll be depressed. You'll be asking yourself questions like, am I onto the right path, right? So yeah, you get to try to join communities. And I'll give another example again. So, right, I don't do product management. I'm an angel investor, right? So I put in some couple of funds in startups, right? Right now, as I talk to you, like, there's some communities I belong to also, like, there's something that happens in Africa that I won't know, like, right? That's what community gives to you too, right? Like your founders, your heroes, like your tech heroes you see on Twitter, like that also they make noise, that rant, right? A lot. Well, of course, right? These are people you just one speed dial away, right? You can just, hi, half an hour, bros, let's have this, they share your pitch deck with them, like that's what it does to you, right? So, right, those are the usefulness of communities. Like, you can't take that away. Like, top skill universe now, right? At the last check, over 5,000 developers in the community, right? You could imagine what's going to happen there, right? A lot of crazy innovations that happens there, right? So, right, you can't take that away. Like, where you drop something, somebody sees it. I mean, we're always sitting on our chair, right, with two screens on our decks, right? And okay, we just open one screen for this. Like, my Discord is always open down, and my WhatsApp is always open down. The Slack is always open down. Like, I don't joke with those three things. Like, whenever messages come, boom, I just go there and scout for it, like a scavenger, like a vulture that's going after dead bodies, right? So those are the importance of it, like, right? Then also, like, lastly, I would say, right, always remember, big things start small, right? That's what I'll end with. Right, big things start small, right? So I and Mav, right, we've been through a lot of shit, like, right, a lot of shit in terms of how we started, right, our tech journey, right? I mean, you guys are lucky now. Like, you guys have Zoom, like, you have Discord, you have, at one time we didn't have all this Jack, right? It was Skype. Remember, it was only Skype then. Like, I mean, that was only collaborative tool for Mav. Don't forget, now let's Skype that time now.
Email.
Exactly. Right now you have WhatsApp, you have mail of Slack, everything, right? That time there was all these tools were non-existent, right? But I always tell Mav, when we come to Lagos that time, right? We'll see bad guys. I always tell Mav, calm down. You go bench these guys. I always tell him to tomorrow, you bench these guys, right? Just more work on yourself, right? It's not a matter of like how far is how well. And today things are changing. The whole landscape is changing. You can only overtake, right, 20 cars. You can't overtake 20 cars on a sunny day, right? You can only overtake them on a rainy day if you're smart, right? You need to understand those things, right? So today, like, those whole things are changing. Like, those guys, you think they're all bad guys. They're not bad anything, right? Some of them just had privileged backgrounds, which, of course, you need to change those sort of like paradigm shift in terms of your journey, right? You may come from a poor background, like people like us, like, of course, then we've changed it, like, in terms of your skill set, right? Where your education cannot take you to, you can use your skill set.
Mr. Emeka, I would
Yeah.
round up. Sorry.
Okay, you guys want to round up?
Yeah, we need to take questions because there are a lot of people dropping questions. So I want to.
Okay.
Yes, so we can just round up. Thank you so much.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I think you guys can ask your questions, like, yeah, so I don't end up talking.
Okay. Yeah, so I initially said everyone should drop their messages. So please, I will need you to unmute yourself. Let me go through the chat. Mr. Duru Chisom, I'll start with, Chuks Duru, please, I'll start with you. Please unmute yourself and ask your question. I think you asked about 3 questions. Yeah. You can unmute yourself, please.
Thank you very much, man.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes, I can.
Okay. So the first 2 questions are about digital marketing in the field I'm interested in. I want to know if it's lucrative, if it's something I can focus on and not bother about other fields. I want to know if it's a very lucrative tech field. Then the second question is to Meka, the guy that gave us the advice to join community.
Okay, sorry, please. If you are not talking, please mute yourself, please. Thank you.
The second question
you can go on.
Is to the recommendation for us to join communities to enable us sharpen our skills. How do we find the relevant communities?
Okay, thank you very much.
Whatever field. Thank you, ma.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so the first question, I think, Miss Amaka, you are a digital marketer, so you answered that question. So is digital marketing lucrative according to Chuks Duru? So Miss Amaka, please, you can answer that.
Okay. Digital marketing is very lucrative. It's a very lucrative field on its own, and it has a lot of branches. So it depends where you decide to stay on in the field. Because under digital marketing, we have about 6 branches. So you just pick where you want to stay, do your thing, and that's all. It's a very lucrative tech field.
Okay, so he's also asking that. Yeah, thank you for that. Mr. Chuk, do you understand? You get that?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Okay, and also he was asking that, okay, if he eventually start the digital marketing, should he pick up another tech skill, Mr. Maka, or he should just stick to the digital marketing?
Now it's dependent on what you want. Now it's about you doing what you love. For digital marketing, you have the social media marketing, the content marketing, the affiliate marketing, and all of that. So you just pick something you want and do it. If you choose along the line that, okay, I'm well grounded in this field, I want to pick up another a skill, why not? Go ahead. It's just about you, and if you can merge everything together at the end of the day.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So I think after this, the second part of this question, before I go to Mr. Treyon, because he also has another question. Yeah, Mr. Marvelous, please, you answer this question. How can he optimize communities in his learning journey?
Yeah, so I think Emeka is in the best position to answer
Okay,
that
yes,
question.
sorry,
So
Mr. Emeka, sorry, you were talking a lot. Yeah, in so many communities. Mr. Emeka, please, can you hear me? Please unmute yourself.
Okay,
Thank you.
okay. So yeah, you could join on some of this. So like, right? Who asked that question? Is it Duru or Chima? Is it Duru?
Yes, Duru, yes.
Okay, hi Duru. Like it depends on your specialization, right? You said you want to go into marketing, right?
yeah, you said digital marketing. Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
Yes, my
awesome.
interest is digital marketing, sir. How do I find community?
Okay. So like, right, it's not, I mean, it's not rocket science. This is a hack. You must understand, right? So like, look at all these digital marketing tools online, like softwares, right? If you go deep down further, right, you would notice that they all have Slack communities, right? It's either they have those communities on Slack or on or like they have a Discord community, right? So just a simple hack is look at all the marketing tools like you're familiar with. I think Google is one, right? I think they will have some of these forums on Reddit, on LinkedIn, right? So just leverage some of all these hacks, like some of all these tools and their communities, and that's a hack. If you're in product, right? Same way in product too, right? You get it. Also another last hack is you could just say, do a simple Google search, right? Slack marketing channels in Africa, in Europe, like you understand, or Slack communities, Slack marketing communities. Just do a simple Google search, right? And you'll find. So always understand this thing too, like Duru. And when life gives you problem, Google give you answers. I mean, I don't know if you know how to use Google, right? I mean, 99% of the problems are solved. Like no one is a Superman. It's just we know how to use google.com, right? That's the honest truth. You get, right? So spend more time on the internet. I guarantee you'd always find a way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Emeka. So I'm moving to Treyon. Treyon, please, can you unmute yourself? Sorry, I've not responded to you since. I'm so sorry about that. Please, you can ask your question. Yeah, Treyon, can you hear me? Yeah, you're raising your hands.
I can hear you.
Okay.
Sorry.
Please.
So I wanted to make a suggestion about what the previous person said. I think that's Mr. Marvelous, if I'm not wrong. Okay. Yes,
Yeah.
Mr. Marvelous. He said you can't learn you as a beginner, right? When you're learning programming language, what concerns you with machine learning? So I think that's the point I want to make. Now, as a programmer, as a developer, you want to start programming for the first time, right? It's your decision on which aspect of programming you want to study, right? So for example, let's say you like Python, but you don't want to be a Python developer, but you want to learn Python because of data science. right? You can actually start learning data science alongside Python. Now, the Python you will learn while studying for data science is going to be Python in relation to data science, not Python in relation to mobile development or web development, right? So it's going to be Python that concerns data science. Then if you're learning web scraping using Python, it's going to be Python commands, instruction that concern web scraping, basically, because you're also going to learn web scraping when it comes to data science. So you're saying, oh, as a beginner, you should not just jump into machine learning. Now, everybody's not the same. Some people have this ability of understanding faster than normal, right? So you like machine learning, you'll be hearing about it, and you want to start machine learning for the very first time, and you're looking at Python in terms of machine learning. Now, by the time you start studying, everything you're going to be studying is going to be in that line. It's the same way you want to learn web design or web development, right? You start learning. Some people prefer using JavaScript. They'll learn JavaScript, forget about the rest, to build websites, which is possible. Some will prefer to use HTML, CSS to build their own website. Fine. Others can choose to use PHP for their scripting. You can use React.js for your scripting. You can use Python for your scripting on your backend, right? So it's a matter of your choice. So, but the main factor is you as a person, right? What's your drive? If you want to focus on machine learning, for you to jump into machine learning, that's really a technical thing. You know that you are ready for it. You are up for the game. You're up for the challenge. So you want to put in more effort to ensure that everything you're going to learn will give you what you want, right? Same thing for data science, same thing for web development, mobile development. So for mobile development, for example, you want to learn how to create your own application. Some people will prefer to use drag and drop tools, whereby they generate the UI and maybe connect the backends to somewhere else. Some will prefer to use Java to program it. Some will prefer to use Kotlin, right? Some will also prefer to use Swift, right? So it depends on you as a person, as a programmer. You have a passion for this language, you have a passion for this part of tech. So how much are you willing to commit into ensuring that this passion of yours, you actually actualize it, right? So I don't really agree with him saying, oh, it's something really technical, you can't just jump the process. It depends on the person. If I like Web3 now, I don't need to go and study Web1 and 2. Studying straight into Web3 is going to be way better for me, because I'm going straight without diverting. Because when you study Web1, Web2 before you start Web3, you have already lost a lot of time. Aside from that, you're going to end up confusing yourself, because Web3 now, you're not looking at the blockchain technology aspect of programming, right? The blockchain engineers that some cannot even do mobile dev, they can't even do web dev with the usual way, right? Because they focus on that line. So you can't really put that as an option or as a point that, okay, you can't really jump the process. You can, depending on how interested you are in learning that particular area of tech. So that's my contribution.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Treyon. Mr. Marvelous, do you want to add, or I should move this question?
Yes. I think. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
I understand. I understand Treyon's point. I think maybe he did not understand the point I was trying to make. So I believe it's always better to try to understand the foundation, right? Instead of moving into something that I've seen people that they say they want to go into machine learning. Yes, you go into machine learning quite early, and then you get to a point where you're always stuck and you're always running back for suggestions. So what I'm trying to say is, try to understand the basics. And of course, most times it starts from the language. Remember, we also have, no code tools. You might decide to do development without, writing code. But if you want to go into, using Python, for example, for cloud development, right? You can do cloud development without Python, right? You can just be someone probably configuring and managing, services on the cloud using the cloud providers platform. But if you decide to, use Python for cloud development, it's always wise to understand Python, right? It's good to understand Python, not necessarily understand Python for backend, but understand Python as a programming language. And of course, that would take some time, some weeks, some months, depending on how you can pick up these things. Speaking about Web3, the point I was also trying to drive there is you don't want to start talking about cryptography and so Treyon, you said you are into Web3, and that is nice. If you don't understand some of the concepts about decentralization and blockchains. I mean, I don't know when you started doing this. I believe it will be a very long time. If you don't understand some of these basic things and you find yourself in there, this is the number one reason why you see a lot of developers that are not able to, that always have this kind of self-doubt. They're always having issues with, fixing up tasks at a very at a swift pace. Most of them have to always do a lot of Stack Overflow, Google search. Yes, you can go and start doing Web3, but it will be more difficult than someone coming into Web3 with a very solid Web2 foundation. Because you see, some of these new technologies you're hearing about, they did not start today. I mean, blockchain and Web3, these are things that I remember, Emeka, if you remember very well, Portal in school, told me about Web3, told me about blockchain and, Bitcoin. I remember this should be around 2015, right, or 2014. I'm not so sure. But you see, when you have a basic understanding of the foundation, it's easier for you when you are at the top, right? When you are trying to sort out these things. Try to understand the point I'm trying to make. I'm not saying you cannot start doing Web3, but it will be easier for you if you understand the basics. So don't jump to 10 when you don't even understand anything about 1, right? So in order not to waste too much time on this, I think we can move to some other questions. I'm seeing Kayla and Victor has some things to say.
Okay, yeah. I'm sorry. Before I move to Kayla, sorry. I just went through the chat and 2 other persons dropped me respond to it. Efe Basa and iPhone. So I'll start with Efe Basa. Please, can you, the question you type, please, can you say it? Efe Basa, if you can hear me, please unmute yourself. Okay. Efe Basa, can you hear me? Or okay.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, please, you dropped a question on the chat. Please, can you just say your question?
Okay. The question is, being a specialist in just one area in tech, does it make you stand out over people who have fully dived into several areas within that same tech?
Okay. Mr. Fega, please. Can you unmute yourself? Please answer the question. Thank you.
Okay, I'm here.
Okay, yeah.
Let me. I think the question I'm trying to read from. He said.
Okay, let me read it.
Okay. Thank you.
He said, being a specialist in just one area in tech, does it make you stand out over people who have fully dived into several areas within that same tech?
Okay. First of all, I said earlier that the goal is not to. For me personally, I would say the goal in technology is not to, or when learning technology, is not to drive to become an expert, but rather to be proficient enough to solve problems with the technology you're learning. That is it now. Now, a lot of people they get confused, thinking that you probably you learn this one and you want to die with it, whatever. See, the thing about technology is just know how to use it. If you feel like, oh, there is a need for you to learn something else, I think the other day I was talking with Engineer Marvelous that okay, we're talking about, I was just making a statement about Solid.js, and he made reference to Vite very well. I have not used Vite before. He made reference to Vite. Now, it doesn't mean that because if you choke yourself too much before I have to be an expert in this, an expert in that, whatever. I think at the end of the day, you might be frustrated. So just be proficient with it enough to solve problems very well. Proficiency means that you're good. Okay, you know how to use it very well. You can solve problem with it, solve problems. Then you can try out other stuff as well. Try out other stuff. Okay, what I'm talking about basically is it's centered on programming very well. But in tech in general, I myself at one point in my career, I did digital marketing. I learned everything. I took courses in digital, like I took so many courses in digital marketing very well, but I didn't want to. I learned it because I wanted to add it to my knowledge, and I know I would definitely need it I am building product and I will need a lot of knowledge from this area. As the same way, I took some courses in business as well, in business development and all of it. I took a lot of courses in it, and it helped me as well too. This doesn't mean that I am veering off to this other way. It means that I have something I'm focused on. I have a career path, but I need all these other things as an added knowledge on my career path. So, and for I think for the other the line, you said being a specialist in just one area in tech, does it make you stand out over people? Now, like I would always say, the idea is not to, or the goal is not to stand out over people. No, Mark Zuckerberg, that has one of the biggest products in the world, is not the best tech person. Okay, like people will say tech bro is not the best tech bro in the world. You get now. So, but the goal is to be able to build with this thing, to solve problems with this thing. That's just it. I don't know if you understand me properly, or if you can hear me if you pass her.
Yes, I can.
Good. So, and I don't know if I've answered your question. If I have not, you can just say something and I'll throw more light.
No, for now, let's leave it that way.
Okay, thank you. All right, thank you,
Okay,
Ella. That's all.
Thank you so much. So I'm going to, before I get to Kayla and Victor, yeah, I'm sorry, iPhone, that is the name you're answering. You ask a question, please. Can you, I don't know if he's on this call. The person, yeah, he's on the call. Sorry, iPhone, that's the name you're bearing.
Ella,
Please, can you unmute yourself and you ask a question on the group?
Ella, if you can hear me, you can just read out the question yourself to make it faster, right? Because we're actually like 30 minutes behind our
Oh,
schedule.
sorry. Okay, let me.
Someone will just pick it up.
Okay. Okay, sorry, not
Sorry,
iPhone. Nokia 6.
Ella, please. Sorry, Ella. I just want to. I saw what Mr. Emeka dropped on the chat. Very impressive. And I just want to add something to what Mr. Marvelous said earlier, and what um, Tron. Okay, I think I'm trying to get the name. Maybe I'm not getting it. What he said as well too. Now, from what Mr. Emeka said, data structure and algorithms very important. And I get where engineer is coming from. He says, okay, you don't just jump to complex stuffs where you could have probably learned from the foundational stuff and grow up to that complex stuff. It's just like being in school, for instance. You can't just join a primary school and say you want to start solving mathematics that are from primary six students. No, it doesn't work that way. You have to start from the basic so you can grow towards, because at the end of the day, when you learn the complex stuff first, I see a lot of tutorials about it. As when we say, forget about the fundamentals, start from the complex, you'll be good. You will learn the fundamentals along the way. That is trash. When you learn the fundamentals from the beginning, you grow very well. You grow, you see things for yourself. You see the reason why these complex stuffs are needed. You grow up to that stuff. In fact, what Mr. Mega said now, if I want to advise anybody, if you want to get into programming or whatever, I want to give you an advice on that. The first thing I'll tell you is I'll send you a book, sending you a book to read about data structure and algorithm. Just download it, consume the content. I think it's so many more than 1,000 pages. Once you're done consuming that content, good. You can get it, because it's going to prepare your mind for a whole lot of things. It's going to prepare you for a whole lot of things, because the journey is not as easy as it is on Twitter. So it's going to prepare your mind on a whole lot of things. So, Mr. Tron Khan, sorry, I'm not getting your name properly. I can't say here.
Trayon.
So sorry.
Trayon.
Okay,
Yes,
Mr.
yes,
Trayon,
come.
sorry, Mr. Trayon. Mr. Trayon. So my point I'm addressing here is, for somebody that wants to get into tech, I don't see it wise enough to start with machine learning, or people are overwhelmed with these names. You understand? And it's becoming a cliche. They're overwhelmed and it's like, oh, the same thing engineer said, that somebody said, okay, I want to learn, I know machine learning.
Sorry, Mr. Pega,
Also saw
please can
somebody in
you
my church. Yes.
like
Let me just round
round
up.
off?
I also saw somebody that said, "Oh, I'm a data analyst. I know this." No, you don't do that. You start from the basics. So that's my point, Mr. Trayon. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Read the the questions are similar to web development. So, Mr. Marvelous, I will throw the questions to you. So I'm going to. So Victor just typed in a question. He said he's taking a course on JavaScript. Okay, please send. I'm taking a JavaScript course, and I have a question. He has a question about blockchain. So I don't just type in your question while I read the other.
Okay, so let's just we can't take every single question right now because we don't want to spend I don't know if you can hear me.
Time. Yes.
Too much time on the on every single question. We have a community on Discord, and I actually wanted us to say a couple of things on how we can assist most of you guys if you are beginners. During our last training cohort at Top Universe, we had I think 3,000 plus signups. A couple of folks learned a lot of things, and we ended up even building a project together at the I think after the 3 months, the 4th month, we built together both the front end, back end, and the designers. Yes, what Fega said is I mean, I would say it's correct. I'm looking at it from the way I think is best to learn. That is not to say you cannot learn Web3 and get a job. Of course, yeah, you can get a job, but getting a job is one thing. Being good at that particular thing you've learned, especially the foundations that will make you sustainable. That will make the job sustainable for you, and make you grow at a faster pace is another thing. Instead of struggling with problems and errors, we want to easily fix stuffs as possible, right? As fast as possible. So I've been opportune to be in a position to hire some developers, and then we realize the same problems. Mostly people will see on LinkedIn that just finished boot camps, and I don't know what to tell most of them, but most of the interviews you're giving are data structures. Most people say data structures are not even important. You don't use them during the job. Yeah, of course you do use them. You don't know, but you use them, with the way you think and with the way you try to, look for the best or the most optimized solution to a problem. So I think we can have that conversation in another session, and I would really love Trayon to be part of that session, so we can have better conversations around this. So regarding your question, I did not see, the guy said he has a question about blockchain, but he did not drop the question.
Yes, he didn't drop the question, and somebody was like, should he focus on full stack or break it down? So it's similar. So when I initially saw JavaScript, I saw blockchain. Because initially somebody asked that should he focus on full stack or he should just stay either on front end or back end?
Okay, so I think I would still, stick to the same option. There are so many boot camps that would teach you both simultaneously. Of course, you have like an extended time compared to learning one, right? Now, full stack in what angle? It depends on the set of tools you choose to use. If I'm to advise, I would say, okay, full stack development, which means you want to do web, which is front end, and you also want to do, a back end. For a start, right? I don't want to pick a language for you, right? I mean, it depends on what you enjoy using. You search about them, and if you need advice from me, then I would say if you need to learn something and learn the job quickly and learn on the job, or learn while you're on the job, then I would say go with JavaScript, right? Because if you want to use a different language on the back end and a different language on the front end, then it's going to be more complex than sticking to one language, which is JavaScript. You learn front end. You learn JavaScript first, then you learn how to use JavaScript on the web, right? And then you learn stuff like Node, and then you also learn how to use Node, for your backend and how to combine these things. Of course, it will take a long time, but I think it's better to learn JavaScript for front end, or learn JavaScript for backend. Right, then after a while, as you grow, you discover you are learning, stuff that you did not plan to learn. Most of us did not plan to do full stack. Most of us did not plan to do most of the things we do today. You are faced with a challenge, and you have to solve it, right? You have to solve that challenge, especially if you don't have the money to pay someone else to do that stuff for you. So you just have to take a couple of courses, and try to solve that problem. So start from front end if that interests you the more. If back end is preferred for you, then start from back end, and probably 2-3 months, 4-5 months into learning, you discover that okay, now I've done this in back end. I'm good to this certain level, right? This is just 5 months, but now I want to connect my back end to like a front-end interface. Then you begin to pick up these things. And the moment you are able to, learn JavaScript very well, you discover that learning some other things becomes easier, because then you have better understanding of, some of the things you're talking about there, right? You have better understanding of some of these things. So, yeah, so you're learning JavaScript to get into blockchain. I think it just dropped. So JavaScript, okay, enough for me as a language to get into the blockchain space, because I'm actually learning JavaScript to get into blockchain, or I still need to know about it. So yeah, I think this is another point I'm trying to drive here. So if you're learning JavaScript to get into blockchain, as a blockchain developer, probably you want to, stick to the part where you are probably writing contracts, right? Smart contracts. Or you want to, when you say blockchain, probably, I think that was 2 months ago, there was this company that contacted me because they saw that I use C++, I even use C++ for writing backends, which is quite weird. But, when you're working for a company like the guys who build some of these Linux systems, Linux distribution like Canonical, you discover that they want people who know how to use C++ or Rust for writing distributed systems, blockchain, and some other advanced stuff. They might not employ you to use JavaScript to build a blockchain technology, like a core technology. They might employ you to use JavaScript to write smart contracts. Yes, that's I think. I think you also need to learn a couple of other frameworks, right? Of course, you use JavaScript, but there's some frameworks you can also utilize. Even in Python, yes, you can use those languages. But I think Ethereum has its own a set of tools, and I've also heard Solana also has their own set of tools. There's this other platform I was discussing with someone about the other day. I've forgotten the name right now, but learn your JavaScript, and when you're done with understanding some of the basics, you would eventually need some front-end experience or some front-end knowledge, right, to do some things that your users will interact with. So let me not go deep into that. Let's just proceed. I hope you understand some of the points I made. Okay. All right, Ella, please, you can take it
Okay,
up.
thank you very much, Mr. Marvelous. Yes, I'm going to take 3 more persons, and they're going to talk for a minute before we round up. So, Miss Kayla, you were raising up your hands. I don't know if she's still here. Let me go through it. Miss Kayla, please, you can unmute yourself. And
yes.
okay, I don't think she's on the call.
Like
Kayla.
2 minutes.
Okay. Yeah, 2 minutes. Okay, so I'm going to go to Mr. Will. Mr. Will, please, can you unmute yourself? Like, if you have any contribution or a question. Mr. Will Abule. Please, if you can hear me, please unmute.
2 minutes,
Okay,
please.
Okay, yeah, sorry. It's not really a question, it's actually a contribution. All right, so I'm going to contribute on various things just very quickly. Number one, when it comes to learning programming, most times I tend to ask people why they are learning it. So if you are learning for a job, then your learning should be focused on trying to gain as much skill set and be proficient with them as much as possible. If you are trying to build your own software and your own application, then you have to learn things. You have to go into more of the project management part of things, because you end up having to employ people to help you do job, help you build more of the apps. And if you are doing it to just for learning sake, then I can say, okay, you can explore and go into the rabbit hole. So learn as much as you can, as much as you want, and all that. That's for learning. And when it comes to just jumping into stuff, generally I would not advise. Just for you guys to be aware, I can say I'm one of Marvelous' first set of students. I started learning with Marvelous around when he was in school, close to his final year. He was HN1 then, if I'm not mistaken. That was when I started learning with him. And there was one thing they forced me to do, which helped me to now, and that was learning foundational stuff. So currently now, I use a lot of tools. I build a lot of stuff, and I learn things really fast. And people tend to ask me, how do you do that? The only simple answer is that I understand how things work on a foundational level. So I know what I'm looking for when I'm trying to use a tool. So I don't necessarily have to learn the entire tool. Like I started using Go about a year back, and I built very, very serious applications with Go recent. And people were like, how did you do it? And I was like, I know what I was looking for when I was learning Go because I already understand how programming work, and I basically understand the main reason why Go was even invented in the first place. So it helped a lot when it comes to building projects. And finally, when it comes to Web3 and Ethereum and blockchain technologies, you should understand that those technologies are very new, and they are like they are not. They may work, they may not work. So you should be very careful. So if you are going into the job sector, I wouldn't advise to go into Web3. Just my personal opinion, because it's a volatile technology and things keep evolving very rapidly. It's not stable yet. So as a newbie looking for a job, don't go into that area. It's a lot of hassle to deal with, especially when things keep changing. However, if you are learning, if you are coming to learn Web3 just because you're interested in understanding how, like I have this friend of mine that wants to learn Web3 just because he's interested in trading cryptocurrencies and all that stuff. And he wanted to know how those things work on a technical standpoint. So with that, he just have to just consume as much information and understand how few things like smart contracts and stuff work. So with that, you'll be able to, with that, I can say, okay, jump into it. But please follow Mav's advice and try to stick with foundational stuff and try to decide why you are learning or why you are coming into tech. And with that, use that to create a path on at which you learn stuff.
Okay, that's nice. Thank you very much,
Thank-
Will. Ella, I think we can move to the next person. Another 2 minutes.
Okay, yes. Mr. Emmanuel and Victor then will round up. Mr. Emmanuel, please unmute yourself. Like you're raising
Okay.
your hand.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yeah, please 2 minutes, please.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes. No, I just have a contribution. I was going to ask a question, but someone already asked it and it was solved. The
Okay.
contribution was based on what someone asked about having a specialty in a particular field. What I want to say is your added advantage, because I believe that person is asking because maybe he knows only one stack and he's done it for years. So the simple answer for your added advantage is that you are the kind of person that can apply for jobs where they say they need someone with minimum of 8 years experience. So that's like an added advantage because people who know multiple things, these things take time to learn. So people who know multiple things cannot say they have 8 years experience in those multiple things. So like one of the added advantages of being like a specialist in a particular domain is that, when they need a specialist, you are the person to call. And then the other contribution was for, how do you navigate, learning a new thing. And he also cut into this Web 3.0 discussion that we're having. What I do, there's a secret I use. So when I want to learn a new technology or a new field or anything, I go to two places. I go to Coursera and then I go to MIT. Not necessarily because I want to pay for those courses, although MIT's one is free. They have a free online program. But what I go there to do is to look at the curriculum. You understand? So there's no need. I was surprised when nobody mentioned that during all of the contributions, saying don't go to Twitter, go to YouTube and all of that. Well, you already have standard institutions with like their course curriculum is on their website, and you don't have to pay to see that. So what I do is I go to Coursera, I check the curriculum for a particular field I want to learn. If I already know the topics, if I already know some of the things there, then the ones that are left, I just pick it up from YouTube or any other thing. So, I'm saying that because at least now you have a standard institution or a well-recognized institution that's giving you the guidelines on what to follow. So if you go to Coursera and type a course like Web 3.0, whatever the basics is there, that's where you should start. So it might not even be Python or JavaScript. Surprisingly, you might see a lot of theoretical things there, but that's where you should start. If you're not comfortable with Coursera, you can obviously check MIT. I don't think there's anybody in tech that would doubt the integrity of MIT. So that's my advice. You can always go to these certain institutions online and check out their curriculum so that you use that as a guideline to start rather than asking questions or looking for mentors up and down. You can just sit on your phone and just get your answers by yourself.
Yeah.
So that's like the two contributions I wanted to add.
That's a very good one. Yeah, that's a very nice one. Yeah, so working with those, and of course, MIT is a very good place to get those kind of resources from. So let's move on to the next person, Emanuela.
Okay, we just have one more person. Victor, please, can you unmute yourself?
Yeah, Victor, just 2 minutes. If you have a question or a contribution.
Okay, I was going to ask a question earlier about blockchain and all, but my question is already answered. So thank you very much. And please, you said learning JavaScript alone is not enough, right? Like, because some people will actually want more of JavaScript to build other stores for them. And
Yeah.
someone also said the blockchain what's it called is not stable, that everything involves new thing comes up and all that. Please, can you elaborate more on that?
Okay, so I think the point Will was trying to drive at, saying it's not stable. He was talking about, he was trying to make you understand that, it's a new area where a lot of people are still trying to navigate and, understand how best to do things there. So if you're learning for a job, it's probably safer to, I know a lot of people that just lost their jobs, people doing Web3. I'm not saying something is wrong with the technology. I'm just saying that it's still volatile at this stage, right? It's new, compared to people that are, building with a lot of Web2 technologies. Now, if you are someone who wants to explore and take risks, of course, working on something like that is not a bad idea at all. If you even want to learn, I've seen people who learn from scratch just because they want to build their company, and they do it well, right? So it's just trying to make you understand that it's a new space, things are changing, and it's still volatile. You can go in there and there's nothing really wrong, right? But if you really want to learn something to build yourself and to also get a job as fast as possible, it's better to really dive into what is already happening, right? And speaking about JavaScript, if you're applying for a company will not employ you because you're a JavaScript developer. They can, if the requirement says they want just a JavaScript developer. But it's rare, but I've seen some things like that maybe on a ZipRecruiter or so. But if you are learning like front end development, of course you have to add HTML, CSS, and some other things. If you are learning to be a backend developer, then you discover that you have to learn how to use a lot of tools, right? They might be asking for Redis, they might be asking for AWS, they might be asking for Azure Digital, this other set of tools. Of course, the language there is not what is not what I would say should be the core of everything. The language is just like the foundation. You learn a language just the way you learn English to communicate. If you are based in a country that speaks French, even though you use English, some people might understand and some might not understand. But if you're very good with French, then it becomes easier for you as well. So you always have to learn some tools as you progress. So that is it. I think that is all the questions we have, and I hope I answered your question. I think you guys can also really follow Emmanuel's idea about working with curriculums. We are also developing a bunch of curriculums that it's easier for beginners to follow through within the space of 3 months, after learning those things. You definitely work on a project, like a real project. You make sure you build your portfolio while you're learning, and when you're done learning, most of our previous students are already landing, some of their first jobs. I remember grooming. I remember teaching a particular guy who just finished secondary school, and now he's already earning more than $700 every month. Just a junior role, of course. More than $700 every month with a remote company, and some other guys on this call that are already earning. So
Okay.
it's not an make you understand that learn immediately, right? You have to learn. You have to learn first.
Okay.
So
So I want to ask, like, how many months do you think it takes for one to probably have a ground, a solid, not a solid, or let me just say a solid ground in the language,
it
in a
depends on you.
particular language?
Depends on you. It
Okay.
depends on how long you are putting to practice, right? It depends on you. So
Okay.
there was a point in time where I was coding for roughly 15 to 20 hours every day. No jokes. I mean, Will can testify to that part. We work together in a company in Abuja, and sometimes we code and we sleep off on the chair and we sleep for just 1 or 2 hours. We wake up and continue. I won't advise you to do something like that because that that is a disaster. So, but someone that have passed through that kind of hustle for years, you can't compare someone learning for just 2 hours.
Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
depends on you. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you
Okay,
very
Emmanuel.
much, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you, Emmanuel. I think we can round up now. So sorry, guys. I mean, we've spent 2 hours instead of 1 hour.
Sorry. We are so sorry, guys. We really appreciate you guys for really joining. And talking about platform, Top Universe, we also provide a full scholarship, and we have over 5,000 registered applicants. And currently, we are planning towards our next bootcamp, which is starting next month. And we will be training people on UI UX, on front end, and on back end for the next 3 months. And it's a full scholarship. So please, I'm going to drop the link on the chat so you can register on the website and share with your network for as many people that are interested.
Yeah. So
And also, okay, Mr.
sorry.
Mav, go on, please.
The program was supposed to kick off this month, actually, for some of you that might have registered previously, but we have to extend the date to next month. And the reason for that is because we're coming up with a lot of other, easy options for people to learn, especially those that are, working already. So now we launched our podcast platform channel yesterday on Spotify, actually on Anchor, other platforms too. And we also have a workshop, that we so that people can learn on the platform. We are almost done. We have a platform that you can now, log in and learn. I think we have like a few weeks to launch, maybe 2 or 3 weeks, and people that apply can learn on the platform and then join a workshop, a practical workshop, so that we don't want a situation where some of you that are unable to close from work early, especially those in Lagos that have a lot of problems with traffic. You don't close early, and before you get home, the training is already past the time, or maybe it has happened to you like 3-4 times. I mean, most people are discouraged. So the plan is you have a platform where you learn. You have podcasts that you can see on your dashboard. You also have events that you can access from your dashboard. You also see your progress, you see the cohort progress, you see your assignments. You are able to navigate everything smoothly, directly from your dashboard. And then you also join the events, or probably use our YouTube channel to watch things you've missed. So, we're trying to, and it's absolutely free, right? It's absolutely free. So we're trying to we're trying to create an opportunity for, millions of Africans to get into tech. And we're trying to make it easier for them, so that they won't pass through most of the challenges and problems that we had to face, right? So, Emanuela, I think you can drop the link. We are going to have another session like this, and we're going to be having this kind of sessions every Sunday. So I think we can also talk about some other things. You can bring your questions even before the conversations become heated up on the call. So I think Victor is still raising his hand, but unfortunately, I don't think we can take that that's your question right now. Okay, so you have to wait till next Sunday. You can join our Discord server. I think you can visit the website, and you can ask me directly. You can ask me. I do a lot of live coding sessions, with some of the guys I happen to mentor, and you can ask me directly on the live session, or as a direct message. You can also reach out to a lot of other amazing guys here: Chris Feger, Will, Emmanuel, Amaka, Emanuela, Emeka. Just once you are on the community, I believe you're good to go, right? You're covered if you have any challenges along the line. All right, so that is it. Emanuela, I think Emanuela left. Oh, okay, she's here. Emanuela, please let's round up. Let's round up.
Okay. Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Marvelous. So please, guys, I dropped a link for On Top Universe website. So please visit the website and you get all the information you need. I also dropped a link to our podcast. So every week we have content. So please follow us on Spotify. We're talking about cloud computing, blockchain, and a lot of other areas in tech. So I dropped the link on the chat.
Yeah, okay.
So everyone can follow us on Spotify and also the link to our website. So please also, if you have people that are interested or people that are not even interested yet in tech and they don't know how to go about it, please share a link to our website so they can participate in our next month, 3 months full scholarship training on UI UX backend and on front end. Thank you so much. Mr. Marvelous, please, you have any other thing to say before
No, I don't. So I think we're good. And thank you guys for talking us again.
Thank you so much for staying for 2 hours. Thank you so much. We really appreciate. And we'll be having these events. Sunday's event is a weekly event, so we'll be having more and more events. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Good night, everyone.
All right. Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.